Report. So, it is my privilege to introduce our next speaker. Is John Ashworth, who will take us on a deep dive in the untapped potential of your pre-need business, revealing industry secrets and strategies that promise to change your approach. Cultivating over 25 years of experience in sales, marketing, and business development across diverse industries, John is a visionary who combines a Maverick Institute and I don't even know what I'm reading here today. Who combines with a coach's mindset. As regional director of Golden Considerations, John's partners with funeral homes to help them grow their business by leveraging modern technology and influential communications. Let's welcome John Ashworth.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here. Good morning, everybody. How's breakfast? All right, very good. Thanks for having me. I really am grateful to be here. I have kind of a unique story and some unique information to share with you here today. So, my name is John Ashworth. I live in Madison, Wisconsin. I've been in Wisconsin for 23 years. I can't believe it. These are just some pictures of me and my family. We love to be active in Madison, getting the canoe out, doing all kinds of fun things. I have 2 kids there. One who has graduated, Carl. We moved to Madison 23 years ago shortly after he was born, and I can't believe it now, 23 years later. Today is his birthday. We love it there. I just love the state of Wisconsin. Yesterday it was great to learn all the unique things about Wisconsin law. I really got a lot out of that. Thank you to the speakers yesterday for that information, for the WFDA for putting that together. This last photo you see here is Allie. That's our 13-year Labradoodle who unfortunately we lost in December. I did have a pre-plan set up for Allie, believe it or not, and it made an unbelievably amazing difference in the end. I just still remember, I'll always remember, my wife standing in the kitchen that night. It was the middle of December, it was raining, it was an awful day. It kind of came on all at once, and that was the day we were going to have to say goodbye to Allie, and she was crying and looking at me, and she said, "Thank you so much for arranging this in advance. It really made an amazing difference." And I tell that story because it's a pre-need story, but also because it gets into this whole idea of just how important pre-planning can be for families, and that's why I'm here. When I first discovered pre-need, I didn't know that much about it. I'm going to tell my story here in just a moment. And the more I've learned, the more I realize that what a great way to spend the second half of my career is helping you help your families provide their loved ones the true gift of love. So thank you again for having me. Here we go. But there's a few themes. The first one is accurate thinking about your pre-need program, about your business in general. Most small business owners don't think accurately about the math inside their business, about their business as a whole, and as a result, work on assumptions that are inaccurate, which causes results that are mediocre at best. So it's really important. This is one of 3 themes today. I'm just planting the seeds. So accurate thinking. All of us regional directors, pre-need companies, we can all do the same things for you: direct mail, Facebook marketing, social media, aftercare, forming joint partnerships with hospice and retirement homes, community outreach. These are all things that should be a part or can be a part of your pre-need program. Everybody should be able to offer you these. Some of us do a better job in certain categories than others. I have a really, really unique approach to the way I do things, but you know what the true difference maker is, really? Inside one of these programs, inside a partnership with a new funeral home, is having a guide. The coaching is the implementation of this. So I've called on almost 400 funeral homes now in my first year and a half with Golden Considerations. And I've learned some really interesting things, and the big thing that I've learned here is that this job is very similar to how I worked as a personal trainer and health coach. For 20 years, that was the first half of my career. In that, you come to me, you want to lose weight, you want to get in shape, you want to do all these amazing things, you want to feel better, that's great. We're going to start here, and we're going to start with these action steps, and we're going to provide accountability, expert guidance, and support along the way, so that in 2 years, we're going to look at you, and we're going to say, wow, you're a completely different person. And you're going to say, 2 years? I got to lose this weight now, John. I'm getting married, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing the other. And this happens a lot in pre-need, January. Everybody gets together, time to look at the pre-need program. We got to do something about it today, this year. We're going to set goals, your rep comes out, you get all excited, and then you get busy with that need, and everything falls flat, and almost nothing happens. The difference there is the implementation, the coaching, the support, the stuff I've done for 20 plus years keeping people motivated. It's kind of funny, but in a podcast, Josh Ray, the CEO of Golden Considerations, we were doing this podcast the other day, and he said, John, you're like the Tony Robbins of death care. And so I'm embracing that idea. I'm not labeling myself as that. I'm just reporting on what Josh said in an interview. But the reason I'm bringing it up now is that's who I am. It's what I do. I'm a coach. I'm a motivator. And I am packed with an amazing set of tools and strategies and systems that can help you grow. Help your pre-need program grow, help your business grow, but help you grow. Because nothing grows until you do. And so that's really where I put a lot of the focus when I'm working with folks. There's one other little note here, the true cost of marketing. And I just want to touch on that briefly because this is really, really important as it relates to pre-need. Because it comes back to this accurate thinking. In a business, the businesses that win are the businesses that can invest the most money in acquiring a new customer. And I mean at a profit. So what I hear a lot when I'm out talking to potential partners is, well, this didn't work, or direct mail's too expensive, or I can't afford this, or we can't do that. The reality is that you should be measuring that marketing so you know for every dollar I put in, how many dollars do I get back? And I'm going to share some examples in a little bit here that kind of reinforce that point. So again, I'm just planting the seed, but I'm also, again, featuring this theme of accurate thinking, because if you just decide, direct mail's too expensive, $5,000 for a mailing, John, I just can't do that. But if you generate 100 leads and you close 70% of those leads, they tend to be better leads, you're going to make about a 6-to-1 return on your investment on that mail piece. And over time, if you have a good rep and somebody who's an expert and somebody who's a marketing maniac like myself, we're going to dive in and we're going to work on beating the control. The control is the traditional community survey piece that everybody, some of you are probably using that in this room. It's worked for years. Well, in marketing, the idea is don't eliminate that. Don't stop doing that. But let's work on creating new things that actually produce even better than that thing does. Because again, those who can spend more on acquiring new customers are going to outpace their competitors. Is everybody good? Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, so really, really important stuff. Why should you listen to me? All-American soccer player, clinical exercise physiologist, personal trainer, health coach. 20 plus years I worked for the preventive cardiology department at UW when we moved here. Did that for 3 years, then ran my own personal training and health coaching business for 10 years in Madison. In fact, it's possible a few of you in this room might be looking at me and thinking, where do I know that guy? Do I know that guy? Because for 10 years I was on Channel 15 NBC in Madison with Lee Mills doing a fitness segment. And in fact, was caught in front of the NGL offices doing push-ups on the retaining wall one morning because my personal training studio was in downtown Madison. It's just kind of a funny side story. I was like, man, I'm burnt out. I'm sure you can relate to this. I got to a point in my career where I was like, am I going to keep going with this or what am I going to do? I need to do something different. I have accumulated, because I'm a learner. I love to learn. I love to study. I love marketing. I love sales. And I love helping you and your business grow. So I have spent 30 years becoming an expert in all of this stuff. I got my MBA in my personal training business when I was running it and the Great Recession hit. And I was trying not to lose everything, not just my business and the 3,000 square foot studio I had built and the mortgage I took on for all of that, but my marriage, my family, everything was falling apart. In order to get that under control, I had to get clear and accurate with the math and what was actually going on in that business so I could survive. So I got to the end of that and I was like, okay, enough. What am I going to do? I'm going to do something new, but I didn't know what it was. Can you imagine leaping away from everything you know for 20 years? 20 plus years, my whole career was this other thing. And I'm like, man, I'm going to leave this. And that's a big leap of faith. Really, really hard to do. You learn a lot from that. But again, that business was very similar to your business. It's not the same. Please don't get me wrong. You guys are all amazing human beings devoted to what you do, and I'm really in awe. That's why it's really an honor to be here. So I said, I need a sabbatical first, though. What am I going to do first? So I went and I actually sold cars for 4 years. I always hesitate to tell that story because then it's like, now I'm associated with every other car salesman that you've ever run into that isn't any good. But my goal in that business was to give people the best car buying experience they ever had. Because I wanted to come in and disrupt that industry and change it and make it run differently, and I got that feedback all the time. And again, as I said earlier, I'm kind of a pioneer that way, so I feel like in pre-need, a similar opportunity exists. If people will just slow down for just a moment and listen and pay attention to what I'm going to show you today is a unique idea. I'm not saying you have to do it this way. I am saying it's the way I would do it if I owned a funeral home. Well, that's not the end of it, though. I didn't finish it, did I? Sorry, this is a common. So I'm 4 years into the car business. Enough is enough. I've learned amazing things about myself, the people around me. In fact, one of the things I took away from that was every single one of us should have to spend part of our career, maybe just a year, maybe 2, as a fully commissioned salesperson. I mean, that's what you're doing as a business owner. So you know what that's like. You know what it's taught you. You know what it creates. And you know what kind of person it produces. Everybody should have to go through that because they'll be better people for it. They'll be better employees. They'll be better husbands and wives. And, you know, I learned amazing things. But that was it. It was enough was enough after 4 years. And so I'm living in Madison. Most of you probably in the room know Matt Frazier Consultants. His kids and my kids were in the same school. He and his wife were personal training clients of mine at one point in my personal training business. This is how it all kind of the small world comes full circle. And I ran into him after a basketball game and I said, hey, Matt, are you still hiring salespeople? And he said, yeah, we are. And so one thing led to another, and I spent 6-7 years at Frazier selling technology products to funeral homes. And that was how I got into death care. And do you know what happened? And I was trying to figure out how to tell this part of the story. And I think I'm going to try this, and we'll just see how it goes. Because it's the story of, wow, this is an amazing industry with an absolutely amazing group of people that I want to be around, that I want to help, that I want to serve, that I want to help. And I used to tell people, and I still do, just go look around on funeral home websites, which I was doing a lot of at the time. Go to the About Us page. First of all, as a side note, keep that page updated. It's important. Update those photos. Put more personal information there. People will appreciate it. But I said, look into the eyes of the people you see on those About Us pages. The funeral directors, the owners, people in this room, especially you, all of you who are here, taking the time, making the time and commitment to be here. They're there. You're there. You're right here. Present, in the moment, serving, doing all the things that are important in life. I want to be a part of that. So I did that, and I learned some great stuff, and what I really learned was I really want to be in this industry for the rest of my career. So then I ran into Josh Ray. I'm cold calling one day, boom, boom, and I'm not paying any attention. I don't encourage this as a strategy, as a habit. Well, at times, things aren't happening. Pick up the phone. Start making phone calls. Go out and see people. That's what I'm doing now. It's amazing what happens when you go see people in person. I just absolutely love it. You just never know. I mean, this event is a great example of that. So I run into Josh. I'm just cold calling. I had no business calling him. We wouldn't sell a website to Golden Considerations. There's no flower store. There's no profit. So anyway, Frazier got bought out by one private equity, then a second. Now it's a big company, Tribute Technology. I got way too far away from my customers. And I said, I need to do something to get back. And so I ran into Josh. We started talking. I started learning about pre-need. And I thought, wow, this could be an amazing opportunity for me to stay in the industry, but get even closer to the work and the service that you're providing your communities. And that's what I've been allowed to do here. And so Josh and I talked for like a year. And I started passing referrals to him, and then eventually was invited to come help the company expand into the Midwest. And that takes a very special kind of person, because when you walk into a funeral home and you say, hey, I'm John from Golden Considerations, you've never heard of us, you have no idea who I am, and in that moment I got to try and separate myself from every other regional director that's ever shown up, and that's a big challenge. But I have won partners, I have started relationships, I'm here giving this talk. It's going really, really well. So thank you. It's good to be here. Hopefully, that gives you a little more context on where I'm coming from and who I am, so you can decide, again, accurately, how, of what John says, what makes sense for me. Because it won't all make sense, but a lot of it should, and we're going to get into it. And I'm just going to ignore that last quote. I don't need that one. So the theme number 3 is growth versus commission. So now we're going to get into the heart of all this pre-need stuff that I'm amazed people don't know more about as I go around and have these conversations. Some of you do, some of you don't. Everybody's at a different place. And that's the other cool thing about this. I have the unbelievable luxury as a salesperson, as a rep for a company, to just go out and start relationships, to start conversations and see where they lead. There's no pressure. There's never any pressure. So if you're interested, if I pique your interest in any way with any of this stuff, all you have to do is reach out to me. I'm going to put a QR code up at the end. I'm a social media content creation kind of maniac too, so if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram, I'm going to put all of it up, and I'm going to put a QR code up at the end, and I won't put it too close to these other QR codes so we don't cause a problem at the nexus of the universe here. I'm just kidding. But anyway, you can connect with me, become a subscriber. I call them the John Ashworth files. So Josh and I, Josh, CEO of Golden Considerations, are committed to sharing this kind of information with you. But privately, you have to be invited. I'm not just going to put it out there publicly because it really doesn't do much for us that way. But if you're interested, if I pique your interest, you want to start a conversation, or you just want to start learning or connecting with me and seeing, well, what is he doing? Who is this guy? That's the way to do it. So just planting the seed for that. So growth versus commissions. Everyone's on a slightly different version of this continuum. Some of you are doing the high commission, taking all the commission up front on your pre-need contracts, very little growth. Some of you are more balanced in between, and some of you are like, I just really want all the growth rate. I'm worried about shortfalls. I got to have all the growth rate I can get because I got shortfalls, John. I got problems. I really need to make sure I got those covered. And I don't care about anything else. You should, but that's okay. Everybody's on a different level of that continuum, and I am not here, absolutely not, to come in and tell you how to do it. I'm here to present some unique ideas about how to do it and then start that conversation and figure out how to customize it for you. Do you know why so many people don't stay fit in their lives? I was having this conversation with a couple people last night. Because as you get older, it gets a heck of a lot harder. My left knee just finally calmed down today from the yard work I did over the weekend. I couldn't do much until today. It takes a coach to help you work through that, just like it takes a coach and that expert guidance to work you through all the nuances of pre-need. I have never been responsible for so much information in my entire life in any job I've ever had as I am now with pre-need. It's like, holy cow. But when you combine all of that knowledge I'm building, becoming more of an expert every day, with the coaching background, it's a unique and powerful combination, and you do have the potential to accomplish amazing things. So everybody's on a different part of that continuum. Here's the other thing. Some of you know this, some of you don't. The growth rates that the insurance carriers, first, I forgot to mention this too. The unique thing about our company is we're not just working with one carrier, we work with 8 different carriers. Because the founder of our company, early on, discovered, if everything looks like, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. In other words, if all I have is this one carrier and this one product, then that's what I have to offer everybody I go and talk to. But when I have 8, and now I have hundreds of product combinations, I can really customize a solution for your funeral home. And it's amazing what can happen when you do that. Now, it doesn't happen a lot because, again, it's that support and the coaching and the time. You're busy with that need, and so it's hard to focus on this stuff too. I get it. I really do. But again, we chip away at it a little bit over time. But the growth rate too, it's discretionary. So in other words, the insurance carriers could decide, they generally don't, but they could at any moment, and they're doing that now. They're raising those growth rates. They can lower them at any time. They can take them away retroactively. You got a big block of business growing at 2%, 3%, whatever. Insurance carrier gets bought out. Things change, or they just decide, you know what, we can't offer this growth rate anymore. They can pull it away. So our philosophy is, why in the world would you rely on that when you can do it this other way, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. I'm going to show you the numbers in a basic way so it all makes sense. These are just some examples of products in different categories. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I really didn't do a very good job on this slide, did I? It's kind of just messy. But you got, the NGL Series 23 is a high commission product. Global Atlantic's Encore. Then you've got some in the middle that are balanced. You've got some at the top which focus on the bump or the growth rate. But again, remember that too, bump, growth rate. You don't get any of that money until later. Your money is so much more valuable today than it is later. And I'm going to show you that. And I was going through this last night and I was like, golly, it's amazing how dramatic it looks when you really look at it. This is just something I put here to remind me, to offer to you. This is something that I can send this to you. So scan that QR code, get on my list, I'll get this information to you. But this is just to show you, like, these are all the different carriers with all the different products they offer at all the different growth rates. How do you decide when you have all these choices? You get with an expert who can help you decide what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And then you look at it regularly. It's really surprising how often I walk into a funeral home and we're in the conversation. It's like, well, what is your growth rate? And owners and agents, they have no idea. They don't remember. They set it up a long time ago, got it all set, and then got busy, and now, and that totally makes sense. I'm not judging that or saying, but that's what happens. And when you see these numbers, you're going to say, well, maybe I should be paying more attention because there's revenue here, big time, and there's help for you and your business. But first, before I do that, let me just talk about, because these are really important. In order to make all this happen, I've been around, I've called on almost 400 funeral homes. It's been a lot of fun. And these are 5 things I've learned. First one is, you really have to have a growth mindset. And you're here, so it's very likely you do. People without, but you have to be bent on on that growth mindset. Whether it's your pre-need or your at-need or your business as a whole or you're trying to, grow as a person, you have to have that mentality, because if you don't and you're just fine with the status quo and you don't want to push, that's fine. But that's not me. And I also don't necessarily push. I try and pull with the right questions and the right strategies and the right setup. That's the real big difference. Is the last thing you want is some annoying rep that's showing up all the time saying, why are you not selling more pre-need? Or, I saw your numbers dip. There's a lot of annoying things that people do that I'm sure don't serve you that well. So you got to have that growth mindset. Is your pre-need program an afterthought? I just talked about that a little bit. And I get it. It's not on purpose. It's because you get busy. But I do run into plenty of people I talk to who are like, yeah, I don't really care about pre-need. I just try and maximize the growth. I'm happy with the guaranteed future business. I'm good. Well, okay, that's fine. But not so great for a partnership with Golden Considerations. And just getting back to what I was saying earlier, that unbelievable luxury I have to spend time with you and for us to decide, does this make sense? And you decide, does this make sense? And if not, that's fine. We part friends. I make another friend, another connection in the industry, and who knows where that leads. It doesn't always have to be pre-need. So that's number 2. Number 3, you all have amazing potential. It's one of the other things that just my kids give me a hard time. I come walking up the stairs from my home office and they're like, pre-need, 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 and they just give me a hard time because I'm always talking about it. I can't stop talking about it, thinking about it, because the potential for growth is amazing, and you all have this potential in your businesses. Even the people who are thinking about it passively, it's just missing a few things. Let's get it going. And then let's talk. Let's talk in 2 years. I'm going to come to that in a second. 4, are you coachable? You have to be coachable. You have to listen. You don't have to do everything that we recommend, but it's got to be there. And you have to be patient. The results come over time. That's the hardest part for me. I was a center forward when I played soccer. Broke a state scoring record in California in junior college. That's how I made All-American, went off on a scholarship and all that. So my mentality is, I want to put the ball in the back of the net. Let's go make your program grow. That's who I am. That's what allows me to go out every day and get in my car on a plane and go all over the place with sometimes nothing more than just the potential opportunity of talking to you. Imagine that. That takes a real drive. So, are you coachable? Results over time? Because let's talk in 2 years. Do nothing. Keep doing what you're doing now. Or engage in this process I'm describing And then in 2 years, let's take a close look at what happened. It's dramatic. We see it with our partners every day. I'm just thinking of it now, and I don't want to forget to mention it. Speaking of partners, you know, there's like the top 5 agents in the United States are agents of Golden Considerations. We have top partners working in all parts of the country doing amazing things with their pre-need business. But again, you don't hear about it, you don't see a lot of it because, you know, everybody keeps their information kind of tight. They don't want to share too much, don't want to give away too many trade secrets. That's all fine. But they're out there doing this amazing work, and that's why I've created this system. So if you opt into my list, I'll start sharing this stuff with you. But I just don't do it publicly. It doesn't make sense. I want to know I've got somebody who's really, truly interested in engaging, and then let's start that interaction. Let's start that conversation. Let's start whatever, or just start paying attention. I don't ever have to hear from you either. That's the weird thing about me. I wake up every day and I think, what can I put out there on LinkedIn or Instagram or Substack or any, you know, those are the 3 primary places where I put content. What can I put out there today that might help somebody? Help a funeral home owner, help an agent, help a salesperson, help a colleague. Do something unique today, advance. It's who I've always been. That's why I became a coach early in my career. So what this is really about is leverage and control. It's really what it comes down to. And the funny thing is that we're always hearing and talking all the time about growth rates. And it's not the real problem. The real problem is the shortfall. So I need growth rate, I need this, and then you walk in, what's your growth rate? I don't know. So it's like, again, kind of just, I don't have time, I'm pushing it over here, I'm putting it in the back closet, we're going to get to it in January, whatever. They're all the reasons, but the real problem is shortfalls. So I'm going to show you how we solve that for our partners and what, you know, this new way of thinking. So for the moment, remember, accurate thinking, think different, growth versus commission. Those are the 3 themes here. And now I want you to try and forget about the growth rate because I want you to really be open to what's coming next here. Because really too much focus on all of that, you're missing that opportunity that I see everywhere. And you may think, oh yeah, John, come on, there's no, I mean, you may disagree with me, you may not believe me, and that's okay, but it's there. And the future of your business is at stake as well. So what does this control actually look like for pre-need? Let's look at the model. This is a conservative look at the numbers because I don't want to blow smoke. Oh, look at these amazing numbers. You know, no, I'm not going to do that. So all the assumptions I make in this model are all really, really, really conservative. First, though, to provide some context, our leverage becomes your leverage. And what I mean by that is legacy deals Bob Ray, founder of our company, set up with these insurance carriers allows us to pay you in a way no one else can. Okay? That changes everything. This is a baseline commission schedule. So goes up from here the more business you do, or the deal we create. I put this in front of an owner the other day, and this happens all the time, and he's like, John, what in the hell is this? I've never seen this before. Where are these numbers coming from? Because they were working direct with the carrier, and we can do even better in those situations too. And I'm not going to go into all the nuances. The main thing I want you to take away from this is what high commissions look like. Keep the number 22% in your head, because that's the number on a single pay, age 66 to 70. That's the number I'm going to use in my model coming up next. But just to show you, when you go all growth, it's 5%. Big difference. Add that up over 20 years of pre-need. It's a lot of money. It's a ton of money. And I know you got your growth on that money, but it's not the same thing. It's not even close to being the same thing. So here we go. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, philosophical insights? I have to tell you, one of the reasons I put on a suit when I give these talks is because I get up on stage and I'm really close to going into group exercise instructor mode right now. I want to get you all up and want to do some squats and some burpees and some push-ups. Nobody even moved. Nobody even laughed either, which is a bad sign. Okay, so I'm going to show you, this is year 1, and then we're going to go to year 8. The average length of a pre-need contract is 8 to 10 years. We're going to use 8 years. We're going to use $4,000 for an average contract. We have seen an average contract go from about $7,200 to $4,100 in our business over the last 20 years. I think that's an interesting piece of data, so I share it. You're all feeling that, right? You know that. But it happens everywhere. And Josh and I did a podcast on this too. So if you want that podcast, scan that QR code at the end, get on the list. I'll send that to you too. It's basically this talk, but a podcast version that he and I did. So, and feel free to snap the photos so you have the information. That's all great. The growth, so we're going to look at year one. Column one is low growth, high commission. This is what we believe you should do. Take all the money right now. Take all of it. Because none of it is guaranteed in 8 to 10 years. None of it. So take your commissions now. Take the low growth. I'm not going to say which product this is, just for now, it doesn't matter, but it's a 0.3% growth, 22.5% average commission. That creates, and we're using $1 million, so you can scale the numbers as you need to for your business, but it just makes the math easier here today. But you do it our way. Look at this. $225,000 in gross commission, and then we're just saying in this scenario you could pay your agent $50,000 and then incentivize them for the rest. There's more, you're going to see it in a second. $25,000 for marketing, and then really unique thing we offer in our company is a shortfall account. It's a trust account. It's been earning 5% over the last 30 years, all this time. You can use it for your pre-need business if you really want to. You shouldn't, but you can. We use it, so you shave off. And in this model, it's 10% of your commissions into that shortfall account. So in year one, you end up with $100,000 in your shortfall account growing at 5%. And it still leaves you with $50,000 in your pocket. And you're thinking, but $50,000 is not enough to pay my agent. Well, no, because I think agents should make about 6 figures. Just as that's why I say everybody should spend time as a fully commissioned salespeople to change your perspective on life in general. But you figure out a way to do this, you'll find the right salespeople who are motivated, who crush this thing for you. And there is more money. So you take that 50, you call that their base salary, and then you incentivize them for the rest, because the other assumptions here are that this is a total of 250 contracts. This other assumption here is that the marketing required for one additional sale. So now this is why I went through that whole explanation at the beginning about what is the true cost of marketing. Make sure you really understand that. Because, it's like $250 to get a pre-need client. I can't afford that. Well, if you're making a $1,500, $2,000 commission, you absolutely can afford that. You can afford it over and over and over again. So that $50,000, you could pay more to your agent, or you can go buy something nice for yourself, or you can start putting it away for the new retort you need, whatever. You use this cash in your business if you need to, but it's your money. Or take that $50,000 and put that into the shortfall account too. You can use that shortfall account as a retirement account. It's a tax-deferred account. That and your marketing account's the other beauty here. You're putting that money in, it's not taxed. Some of that money never even hits your books. Because if we're using the marketing money to do marketing, that just becomes an expense. We pull from the marketing account to pay for it, and that money, that $25,000, which turns into, $250,000 over 10 years, never hits your books. You never get taxed on it. How much does that save you? That's a whole nother chunk of money. Again, accurate thinking, the math inside your business, so important. At the bottom there, and this is just a conservative. So we say, for this model, I can find you a new pre-need lead that buys a contract for $250. So if that's the case, then we're going to use that $25,000 to do the marketing, and when you do that math, 250 divided by, 25,000 divided by 250, you end up with 100 additional contracts. So we're going to bring new growth to your business. This is one of the ways your agent makes more money, is they add business to the bottom line, and because there's another $90,000 in commissions there. Again, give the agent half of that. You keep the other half. Now you're at $100,000 if you're doing $1 million. If you're not doing $1 million, you scale the numbers. So I think that's all pretty darn compelling. You started that, right? The recording? Or is it going? It's going. Okay, good. Pardon me, folks. So now we move to the high grow, low commission. I got to take the growth, John. I'm nervous about shortfalls. And so look at the numbers now. You take your 3% growth and a 5% commission, now you got $50,000 in commissions. You pay your agent, that's it, you're done. And this happens all the time. This is why so many programs don't grow. Because again, it's that perspective of fully commissioned salesperson. You want to find a good agent who can really turn this around for you. You got to pay them and you got to treat them right. You can't just give them, oh, just, here it is, good luck. Create an environment where they can, and a hungry salesperson like me will go out and make it happen. I can't believe I didn't discover this earlier in my career. This is what I would have been doing instead of going into the car business. So anyway, that's it. You're done. Now you take the trust route. You're going to earn more growth. That's where you can maximize your growth is in the trust. You're going to get 5% and no commission. You pay your agent. You're in the hole now because you don't get any of that money until at need. And so you're waiting for that money now. You're in the hole 50 grand. And again, when you're busy and you're focused on at need and you can't take the time to really go through this, you're just like, God, I just can't figure out how to get my pre-need program to grow. And I'm saying to you, all we got to do is change it a little bit, recruit for a top agent, and I mean, it's amazing the kind of things that happen, what we're doing. We've got an agent in our company doing $5 million a year. Plenty of other agents doing $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. I just went on our annual trip, and these people are doing $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year in pre-need, one person. It can absolutely be done, and it's so. Okay, everybody good? Good. Everybody, I think we do need to get up and move, though. I got to tell you, it's like I just feeling the energy is draining. Come on, let's go. All right. I'm close to the end, I promise. 8 years later, here we are. So in our model, high, take all your commission now, high commission, low growth, only $24,000 worth of growth there, okay? You can look at that two ways. Well, shoot, that's still 25 grand. That's still 25 extra grand. And if the carriers decide to pull that away, it's just 25 grand. You're not going to feel it as much. Your gross commissions are 1.8 million. You've paid your agent 400 grand, marketing 200 grand, shortfall account. Look at that thing, $800,000 in your shortfall account, and $400,000 still left over to use however you want to use in your business. And then you've got 800 new contracts. So now that's enough. It's a total sales now of 3.2 million, 720,000 in commission, more money to use for all kinds of things. And then you move over to the growth, and you're like, okay, you got $240,000 of growth on that 3%, but compare that to what's in your shortfall account. It's insane how different that number is. Gross commissions, you're going to get another $400,000 because you're getting 5% commissions on those sales. But you pay your agent, and again, you're done. Now you're having to dip into other places for marketing, or what happens most of the time, which is do no marketing and wonder why your program doesn't grow. It's amazing how often I talk to business owners who are like, it's not growing, we're not generating any leads, and they're not doing any marketing. It doesn't just happen by magic. I mean, a couple of people a month walk in and want a pre-need. That varies a little bit, size of the funeral home market and all that. That does happen. There are ways to cultivate that too, all the social media stuff, content stuff, the opportunity you have to build yourself as an authority in your local community and draw people in like a magnet. You can make more walk-in business happen too. It's all sitting out there. Josh has this analogy, it's kind of silly, but it's like you're on a deserted island. You've just finished your workout. No, I'm just kidding. You're looking around, you're starving, you're dying of thirst, there's coconuts in the trees everywhere, but you can't find a way to get to them. You can't climb the tree, you don't have a ladder, you don't have a crane, you're out of energy, but they're everywhere. Those are all the pre-need contracts sitting, waiting to be written for your business, just with the right system to bring them in and bring them toward you. So, and then you've got your trust is not bad. I mean, you look at that, you think, well, that's not bad. $1 million, you make almost $500,000 of growth. You pay your agent, though, you're in the whole $400,000, and the trust money you don't get until later. So your money's always more valuable today. Inflation eats away at it over time. So, that $490 is not worth $490 in 8 to 10 years. It's worth something less. But you could have had it now. Okay. So that's Our unique philosophy, we still find the balance. Partners are still like, oh, we're not going to go all the way yet, John, or we're going to do, or they adjust things. I work with a family or a funeral home in Illinois, and every situation is so unique. I was talking to my colleague Lee yesterday, and it's like, situational was the word he kept using, because every situation is really, really unique, which is why this is that model we take and we customize that for your business. And then I just wanted to show you, because shortfalls is the real problem. It's why we get so fixated on growth. And there's all these other ways you can fix a shortfall. And this is just brief. These are things we offer, a universal casket freeze program. So we can take 4% of the commission on just that contract that you have the casket in and guarantee the price of any casket. That's your biggest expense in a burial contract, probably most often contributing to the shortfall. That fixes it. Done. So why are you waiting for money in 10 years when you can fix it with this, with 4% of the commission, and still get 18% more of the commission on that contract? And what we do there is we just set you up with 2 agent numbers. One for the casket freeze, one for the regular contract. So as you're writing business, when you need to guarantee the price of that casket, you just write it under a certain agent number, and we keep track of all that stuff for you. That's the other thing too. You're working with, so a lot of our partners work with more than one carrier. We handle all the reporting and everything. You get one thing at the end of the year. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. We take care of all that stuff for you too. So, that really helps. So the casket freeze program is powerful. The shortfall account, even more powerful. I mean, the casket freeze program is essentially a shortfall account for your caskets. So really, you can take that idea and you can apply it to anything. Maybe you have other things that are causing shortfalls in your business, and you're like, John, you know what? For these contracts, I want to hold 4%. Or I'm going to put an additional 5% or 4%, whatever, in this shortfall account for these types of contracts too, to cover yourself. There's a lot of different ways to do it. This is another one that scares people a lot. I know you can't do this in Illinois anymore, which is ridiculous, but charge for the guarantee. You may or may not be guaranteeing. Everybody has a different feeling and opinion about that. As a salesperson, business growth guy, why would you not do that? Get your pre-need program in order, get it running, get it dialed in, get this marketing going. And guarantee these things. It'll make them easier to sell. It's the big value of someone coming and doing this. Guarantee the future cost of this, and then just do these other things to cover yourself and keep the program going. If your program's going all the time, you won't need to worry about, oh my God, if I end up with a shortfall here, you'll have the ability to cover those things. It will work, and we will look at it on a regular basis. This industry is the only industry that I know of where people expect, and then you allow them, and we heard a little bit of this yesterday, value your time. Don't underestimate that, little things. You are valuable, your time is valuable, make the most of it. And do little things like this. They'll make a big difference over 10 years, 20 years. Man, some of these people in the room doing this for 40 years, these little things, they add up. So anyway, it's the only industry in the world where people expect that, the price just shouldn't change. Well, prices change. It's just a little scary until you know how to present that to a prospect, to a family. Now, I'm sure you'll understand, John, that inflation is a problem. We can't guarantee the cost of these items, the cash advance items, unless you want to just add 10% of the contract today, then we can take care of everything. There's a very specific way you can roll right through that, and 9 out of 10 people will just say, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. 10%, it's a couple $100. Well, and then again, that adds up. I didn't say it when it was up there, but basically I can make you a millionaire in 10 years. I mean, that's what it kind of comes down to. So charge for the guarantee, or at least consider it. Away from home plans, pay big commissions, a couple $100 on every one of those you add. And again, just having it in the system, rolling right through it, you'll get 8 out of 10 people to do that. And it's $200 more of commission on every one of those that you sell. Agent service is a unique program we have. If you don't have a licensed agent in your business, or you have places in your business where you don't have a licensed agent available, we have a portal you can use. You write the business right through the portal. If you're in Wisconsin, the agent signing off on that is yours truly. I'm a licensed pre-need agent, but that does amazing things. I set up seminar systems for partners. I go run the seminars. I set up the appointments with funeral directors or whoever else in the funeral home. They write the business through the portal. Commissions generated. No one else has that. That's an amazing service. And the optimizer kind of goes with that. We can set up, let's say you say, well, I'm going to work with these 3 carriers, and I'm going to do this product for this group, this one, and this one. We say, okay, fine. And then we set you up with the optimizer, which allows you, again, to go into that same portal. And depending on who you have in front of you, you can make these selections, and it'll tell you which product is most profitable for this individual. And then you can write that one. And I should say most profitable and the best for the family writing the contract, so that you don't have to do any thinking. Your staff doesn't need to do any thinking. We just set this up for you. Now, over time, I'm going to want to educate people about pre-need and all this stuff, because that's another big one, is that people just don't know enough about it. And no kidding, like I said, I can't believe how much I've had to learn. And I think I'm like right here. I'm like, I just got my head above the water like a couple months ago, and now I'm like right here, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling better. But every conversation I have with one of you is an opportunity to learn more about, the kinds of things we can do to help you. Aftercare programs. I stole this slide from Josh, and whoops, I think I just ran out of battery. Oh, there we go. I stole this slide from Josh, and I'm not sure why he had aftercare programs in there, but I like it in there because it just allows me to finish with a really important point, which is it's just such a great example. Start doing one action you can take. Don't ever call me, don't ever talk to me, whatever. Don't ever do anything different. Just start calling the families that you serve. Work the scripts that I can share with you on the John Ashworth files, and grow your pre-need by $250,000 in a year by just putting a little system in place to start calling your families after you serve them. You're probably already doing that. It's just adding a little bit of a twist to that process. Little hinges swing the big doors, okay? Thank you for your time and your attention, and for your almost willingness to get up and do squats with me this morning. Maybe next time. You'll be ready for that. If I'm invited back, we're going to do it. This is my contact information, and if you scan that QR code and you opt in on that page, it's just name, email, and you can send me a short note if you want, or you can hand me your card. I'll put you on that list, and you'll start getting some even more revealing stuff that Josh and I are creating in podcasts and that I'm creating, but I'm not putting it out there because I'm only looking for the people who really get it and are interested, and I'm not here to pitch you on all of my stuff. I'm just saying if you're interested, that's how you get a hold of me. That's how we can start a conversation. But the information alone will help you, and I'm good with that. I just don't, like I said, blast it out to everyone because I don't think it's a good idea. Thank you all so much for having me. Really great to be here. I'm done now. I'm finished. You can clap if you want. Forgot all about my water here.
Thank you, John. Well, this time we're going to take about a 10-minute break while we get set up for our next business session. So please go out and help yourself with some refreshments back here, and